Hello, and welcome back to the Collapse Experiment, where I discuss where we're at in this FUBAR of a world. It's quite remarkable to still see some of the articles that are popping up every single day. It's quite the Shiza show around here, and yeah, food wars, oil wars, water wars. Not water world, not the world that we heard was coming. Apparently, Obama and Nancy Pelosi and all the other people that keep buying beachfront properties seem to think that water's going away. We're not going to have the flooded beaches that we were promised in a Kevin Costner uh, world where he drinks his own pee. Okay, so maybe it's for the better. Anyways, water wars are on the rise globally. Had to see this one coming. This ties into another article that was brought to my attention by Pinball Preparedness. But yeah, this was from Zero Hedge by Tyler Durden. Okay, F you, Windows. I didn't ask for your crap at a weird random time. The number of water conflicts is increasing in most regions of the world. As so-and-so Armstrong shows in the following infographic based on data from the Pacific Institute. Okay, well, Pacific, it's a huge body of water. I don't see anybody fighting over that one, but they are. Let's see here. From 2000 to 2009, there's 111 conflicts in Asia. Between 2010 and 2019, 388. And it goes on and on. Apparently, in Australia, there was two fights over water. North America, 10. I don't know if these conflicts are just like legal battles or people actually grabbed the shotgun and said, "You get away from my stream." The source distinguishes the following different types of conflict. Trigger conflicts over control of water, economic or physical access to water, or even water scarcity trigger violence. Okay. Second one, weapon. Water resources or water systems are used as an instrument or weapon in a violent conflict. And the third one, casualty. Loss of water resources or water systems due to becoming intentional or incidental targets of violence. So, yeah, apparently in North America, there were 10 incidences of that. I don't know. It could be Mexico, Canada. Those Canadians, they've got an awful lot of land to hide bodies in. I have a feeling that, when the truth comes out, Canada's probably the serial killer capital of the world, but who knows? Can't trust them. They've got more land than we do and a tenth of the population. What's keeping that population down? They don't have good television. They've got to be bored at night. I don't understand why their maternity wards aren't always flooded. But no, that's Canada. The hottest hotspot in Asia, which is the highest number of conflicts in absolute terms and strongest recent growth in conflicts. Only last year, at least 41 people were killed and more than 200 injured in a violent border conflict over access to water resources in the region between the two ex-Soviet republics of Tajikistan and Kazakhstan. I have never even heard of these places, but they like to fight over water. Sounds like the place to vacation at. The world's largest second water conflict region is Africa. I'm not surprised. A gigantic dam in Ethiopia plans to build at the cost of more than $5 billion to dam up the Blue Nile flowing through its territory has recently caused a great deal of trouble here. A project that is causing particular consternation in downstream Egypt, where the Nile water has been the country's livelihood for centuries. Yeah, Ethiopia. I kind of saw what happened in Egypt when food prices got too high. You cut off the water. I think you might want to start calling yourself Egypt after a couple weeks because they. I don't think Ethiopia is going to be able to hold off Egyptians. Pissed off Egyptians. So yeah, water wars. Awesome. Nice little gauge on how things are going. All right. Let's go on to the multi-state battle over the Colorado River. That ties into the whole water wars thing. That's also why I chose a dystopian LA when it came to the photo for this. We woke up and lost half our water. How climate change sparked a multi-state battle over the Colorado River. The Colorado River's 1,450-mile run begins amid a snowy pinnacles of the Rocky Mountains and ends in the subtropical waters of the Gulf of California. Does it? Does it really, though? I mean, they're pumping so much water out of it. Does it even reach there these days? Over the millions of years the river has been running this course, it has gradually carved out the southwest crimson limestone shale to create a succession of unimaginary vast canyons. Yet we don't intelligence. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Then the drought arrived. Oh, we're getting to the story now. It only took 2 paragraphs and never left. After the driest 2-decade stretch in 12 centuries, both Meade and Powell fell below 1/3 of their capacity last year, throwing the Southwest into crisis. On January 1st, mandatory cuts went into effect for the first time, forcing farmers in Arizona and the utility that provides water to metropolitan Las Vegas, 2.3 million customers, to limit their uptake from Lake Mead. Even with these cuts, water manager from Southern California says the reservoir is still going down and it will stay low for the next several years. I don't think we'll ever not have a shortage going forward. It's because y'all have too many people in a desert. You set up a city in a desert because you're geniuses. There's nothing there except for people who shouldn't be there. Awesome. Yeah, so this has been going on for a while. I remember reading about this like a year or two ago, and they're finding stuff that was like buildings that were put underwater, Lake Mead, because I guess there was like a small town or something that used to be there. Oh my God. So Colorado River, let's see here. Should I jump to the recent, again, more food processing fires? This is really becoming, I just talked about this yesterday. I'm like, how are there so many of these fires? And as for yesterday, I'll bring this one up. Explosion chaos. That's actually the title of this. Food processing plant fire. Plane crash today in Georgia sees chaos unfold at General Mills factory in Covington. So not only was it a fire, somebody flew their plane into the building on accident, on purpose. Who knows? On Thursday evening, a plane crashed into the General Mills plant in Covington, Georgia. The Federal Aviation Administration reported that an unidentified small plane crashed within a mile of the runway of the Covington Municipal Airport. 6 tractor trailers were damaged as a result of the crash. Local officials declared at a press conference that there is no survivors of the crash. However, it remains unclear how many victims there are. The National Transportation Safety Board is currently investigating the cause of the crash. Then it goes on to how did Sully land his plane? Who puts these articles together? Yes, Sully landed his plane. Congratulations. Thank you, U.S. Sun. You're an awesome journalistic piece of Americana. And then, as I'm trying to look this up, this one pops out. Now, I did cover the potato processing plant, but let's get into this one. Pilot flying for UPS who brightened the room dies at 30 after plane crashes into potato processing plant. This was, well, let's see here. This article came out April 19th, but the plane crash was. Are they actually going to give the date, or do they not know how to write an article? Funeral is planned for April 23rd. They don't even say when the accident happened. Who are these people and how do they have jobs? Our heartfelt sympathy goes out to the family of the pilot involved in the accident in Burley, Idaho, UPS said in the statement. Yeah, they're more pissed off they have to replace a pilot. An experienced pilot died at 30 last week after crashing in a potato processing plant in Idaho on Wednesday morning around 9 a.m. Hayburn Police Department and emergent. Which Wednesday? It'd be good to know. Like, that Wednesday has like a month and a day and a year. Like, was this in 2019? Was this in 2001? Like, on Wednesday morning around 9 a.m., police department and emergency responders dispatched to Gem State Processing Plant where they found that the pilot had crashed a single-engine plane, according to a statement. They don't even say when it happened. Awesome. Oh my God. Though authorities did not name the pilot, who was the sole occupant of the plane and did not survive, the Minnetonka County coroner identified the victim to People as Chelsea Brittany Infanger. An autopsy was performed and the case has been handed off to the FAA. And according to Minnetonka County coroner, blah, 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 no one at the processing plant was injured in the crash. So this is the second plane crash in, I don't even know what time. So today, funeral is supposed to be tomorrow. It couldn't, maybe last Wednesday. But let's just say within a week, there's 2 plane crashes into food processing centers. Weird, right? Okay. And moving on, New World Disorder, what the UN vote on Russia really reveals about global politics. If you want to know what's revealed about global politics, you can go into a lot more than that. Okay. This is by the Gatestone Institute. And it's like bullets. They've got a list of things here to start off the article. So, food and fear are more important to many developing nations than democratic ideas. Well, you kind of need a cornerstone to build the foundation of your democracy. If people are hungry, they're not going to care who's in charge, who's feeding them. Let's see here. In Latin America, a form of anti-government Americanism among the educated classes has translated into a reluctance to openly criticize Putin. This is amplified by messages vocally propagated by Cuba and Venezuela. China sees no reason to anger Russia. They're neighbors. They're right next door. If you're 2 blocks over and you've got a problem with the guy that lives next door to you, then It's just a major supplier of oil, gas, coal, especially since Western nations are discouraging the production of the very fossil fuels that China needs. Huh. Policymaking circles in Beijing are not crowded with idealists, and its decisions are invariably self-interested and pragmatic. Yeah, you're gonna take care of your own before you go and take care of somebody else. It's like that first responder rule. Make sure you're safe before you go to try to save the other guy, because otherwise you end up with two dead people. Just a thought. I don't know. Maybe if our politicians actually did something with their lives that were worthwhile before becoming politicians, they would have a different way of thinking about things. Arab leaders are unhappy with the Biden administration for its precipitous withdrawal from Afghanistan last year, its ongoing negotiations with the threatening regime in Iran, and its laxity in the face of the Yemen-based Houthi terrorists and rocket attacks. For the first time, Arab leaders are asking questions publicly about the sustainability of the American political system and the coherence of American foreign policy. Do not elect an idiot. I don't care if you didn't like Trump or not, okay? Like, I didn't like him the first time around. I ended up voting for Satan. Yes, I admit it. I voted for Satan incarnate who smells like sulfur, eats baby children, and killed Epstein in a cell, okay? I did. But then after 4 years, I'm like, okay, why is the news saying the opposite of everything that this guy is doing while he's in office? And it all seems to be good things. And why am I making more money than I did beforehand? And why is everything functioning better than it did beforehand? I started asking some questions, and then I'm like, Trump talks some shit, but everything's good. Oh my God, we've got the Abraham Accords. There's peace in the Middle East. What the hell is happening? ISIS is gone. What the hell is happening? And then all of a sudden Biden comes into power, and it's like I'm right back where I started with Obama. Everything's shit. Everything is shit. Okay. Yeah. So if Saudi Arabia, who has more money than they know what to do with, is also concerned about Joe Biden, yeah. If anybody should be concerned, it should be the American people. On the Iranian nuclear dossier, Israel, one of the first firmest allies of the U.S. in the region, fears that the Biden administration wants at all costs to conclude an agreement with the Iranian regime without taking into account the possible impact on the regional aggression of Tehran. Yeah, so it looks like Biden's just pissing everybody off. What has been eroded for some years now is the commitment of American leaders to defend, maintain, and advance an international order in which states observe common rules and standards, embrace liberal economic systems, and renounce territorial conquest, respect the sovereignty of national governments, and adopt democratic reforms. Yeah. How many democratically elected leaders did we, or like, boot out of power? How did Ukraine get to where it is now? Oh no, we didn't like the Soviet-backed leader that they elected in a free and fair election. Now we've got an actor slash comedian, yeah, because that always works out freaking great, running the country, and Putin had a problem with it. I don't know. I'm just saying, maybe our policies and us sticking our nose where it doesn't freaking belong is leading to a lot of chaos across the planet. Embracing liberal economic systems. Yeah, they keep trying to regulate everything. Even Biden said, well, if prices get too high, we'll just say they can't go too high. And it's like, are you going to make up the difference in the accounting books for these companies that you're going to put out of business? Is that what's going to happen? Because if you say gas can't go to $6 a gallon, even though it's $185 a barrel, who's going to make up the difference, or are you just going to let the companies fold? Because remember, he's the guy that when he was running for president that said, "I will end the fossil fuel industry. That is my prerogative." And it's like, great. So how many people are you killing in the meantime doing that? Literally killing. You're killing people by shutting down an industry that 90+% of our economy and our medical system and everything relies on. That's your prerogative. Awesome. Great. Thanks. All because how dare you? Had to open her goddamn mouth at the UN. How dare you? Why is anybody scared of this girl? I mean, yeah, she looks like Charlize Theron from Monster as a child, but unless you're trying to pick her up at a truck stop, I don't understand what the threat is. In today's increasingly complex global environment, the U.S. can only achieve its goal by leveraging its strength through a cohesive foreign policy that responds to the challenges posed by Russia and China. To do this, the U.S. must deliberately strengthen and cultivate productive relationships with its allies, partners, and other nations with common interest. Which is what? Transgender solar panels, batteries that need I don't even understand what our interests are anymore. Is every nation supposed to have its own pronoun? Like, what's China's pronoun going to be? I don't know what the hell our country's interests are, because we've been focusing on stupid shit for the last 5 years. 20 if you really want to go back. But yeah. Who has our common interest? Is this why we spent $30 million on transgender studies in Pakistan? A country that doesn't even acknowledge that there's gay people because it's not part of the religion. It's a religious backed government. Islam does not acknowledge gay people. They don't exist. In their worldview, gay people don't exist. And you handed over $30 million to study something they don't believe is real. The U.S. must offer attractive political, economic, and security alternatives to China's influence in the Indo-Pacific, Africa, and beyond. Yeah, we don't have any money. Rather than condemn the nations that abstained from voting against Russia at the United Nations, America must seek to understand why they thought sitting out the vote was their best option. Next, America must make clear that it still supports the rule of law and the idea of democracy and put steel behind its ideas. We're not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic with democratic aspects. That's it. So this whole idea of like our role is to push democracy across the planet. When they did use democracy, we came back not that long afterwards and said, you did it wrong. Here's the guy you should have elected. Which is kind of how our elections have been going lately, don't you think? I don't know. Somebody changed some rules and shifted some ballots around where they needed to go in order to make sure something happened. The latest battle zone in the Russia-Ukraine war was in the quiet, most Mandarin halls of the United Nations, blah, 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 blah. And it goes on to talk about all kinds of other yeah. So New World Disorder with the UN vote on Russia really reveals about global politics. You can check the rest of that out at theclopsexperiment.com. Are soaring food inflation and rolling blackouts the start of the next emerging market meltdown? Well, if it wasn't artificially propped up by the Federal Reserve, who keeps printing money, causing massive inflation, but that stock number keeps going up somehow. Weird. A combination of shocks is rippling through emerging market economies and has sparked soaring food and energy inflation, power blackouts, and social unrest. Countries with the weakest balance sheets and high debt loads appear to be sliding first into turmoil. This could be the beginning innings of an emerging market crisis, last seen in the 1990s with socioeconomic distress toppling governments, according to Bloomberg. Already, skyrocketing food and energy prices have caused turmoil in Sri Lanka, Peru, Egypt, and Tanzania. The chaos could broaden in some emerging market countries. Could broaden with some emerging market. Yeah. Heavily saturated with debt, could be shocked by higher debt servicing costs as the Federal Reserve embarks on an aggressive tightening campaign. This couldn't have come at the worst time for these developing nations, as many had large capital outflows, borrowed vast amounts of money during COVID. Wonder why that is. Now they're being hit by food and energy shock due to the Ukraine conflict. Wow. It's almost like a double whammy was planned here. An example of this toxic cocktail could easily topple a country as Sri Lanka has already been pushed to the brink of default. The South Asian island nation, foreign exchange reserves have collapsed and food and fuel shortages plus high inflation have sparked unrest. Huh. I wonder if that's coming here. Bloomberg Economics shows a handful of other emerging economies at risk of crisis because of high debt, soaring yields, notably Ethiopia, El Salvador, Tanzania, Pakistan, and Ghana rank as the most at risk because surging bond yields create higher default risk. And Pakistan is already experiencing a bunch of rolling blackouts. As for these other countries, I don't know. Ethiopia, they're planning on building a dam and probably being invaded by Egypt if they cut off the Nile, because you don't want to do that. I don't know what Ethiopia is thinking, but all hell's about to break loose over there if that dam gets built. And Ethiopia is not even, aside from coffee, like, how are they paying for this dam? They're borrowing money from somebody else, which means that once they do cut off the Nile, Egypt's going to be aggressive towards Ethiopia, and then the World Bank's going to step in and say, hey, America, put these Egyptians in order here. Because, no, they shouldn't have the river. We paid for a dam. I love how they think this stuff through. The implications of a potential European ban on Russian oil imports. Well, let's see if anything has changed, because last I heard it was, what, $185 a barrel is what we're looking at? Via Gold Money Insights. Russia is the world's second largest petroleum exporter. Let's see here. I don't even know what the heck that means. Of crude oil, petroleum products are exported to Europe. The European ban on Russian petroleum imports would have an immediate effect on pipeline imports. Moreover, crude and products that currently go to Europe via tanker would have to find a new home, which would create massive problems for the global refinery system. Depending on the speed of the phase out, we could see the loss of Russian product near term. Over the long run, Russian production will likely decline due to lack of Western technology transfer. But they're already looking at selling their products to China and India. And I'm sure other countries are going to jump in to get this discounted oil, especially when the vast OPEC oil is going to be super expensive for absolutely no possible reason whatsoever. So yeah, Europe wants to put a ban on Russian oil, causing massive price hikes on the oil that is available, Meanwhile, if you're willing to deal with Russia in their own currency through their own banking system, you get it at a discount and your economy is fine. Oh, yeah. They wonder why China is like, no, we no side with them. We like you. We side with you. We like your oil. No, everything is fine. Everything's fine. We give you Walmart stuff. Go bye. Yeah. How is anybody surprised at what's going on here? Ukraine pushes for rerouting of Nord Stream 1 flows. Interesting. Let's see what Ukraine is up to now. This is from oilprice.com. Ukraine is lobbying with its Western allies for the redirection of Russian gas flow from Nord Stream 1 pipeline to the pipeline that runs through its territory. I wonder why. According to the report, Ukrainian lobbyists have argued that the more gas Russian transports via through its pipeline, the more transit fees the government in Kiev will collect. So they're trying to collect money from Russia during a war with Russia to transport Russian oil into Europe, which is going to get cut off, in hopes of making money from Russia, who they're at war with, which is probably not going to pay the transit fees. And they can just move the oil some other way, but they're cutting it off from this is have they thought this through? The more transit fees the government in Kiev will collect, helping it fund the war. They want Russia to fund their war. Is that what I'm hearing? At the same time, the shift would, according to them, prevent Russia from damaging Ukrainian pipeline infrastructure. Man, this is hurting my head. The idea was floating around a visit in Ukrainian officials to Washington, where they sought to convince the White House to lobby for the shift to Germany and the wider EU. Current Russian gas flows via Ukraine stand at some 40 billion cubic meters annually. This compares with 55 billion cubic meters moved through via Nord Stream 1, which ends in Germany. Yeah, it looks like it bypasses a whole lot of other countries. Trying to shift flows would, according to legal experts, constitute a breach of contract. It would also do nothing to increase security of supply to Europe, according to former State Department Special Envoy David Goldwyn, who spoke to Reuters. Okay, so if you're talking about security, why would you shift your oil gas flow to an area that's at war? It doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me. This is just a horribly stupid idea. And it looks like Kiev is desperate for any type of money coming in. Oh, speaking of fires, wow. Russia's largest chemical plant engulfed in flames hours after mystery fire at military research facility. It's weird. We can't figure out how to build hypersonic missiles, but the research facility in Russia that creates theirs just went up in flames. The death toll in the massive fire that broke out earlier in the day at a sensitive Russian Defense Ministry research facility in the city of Tver is risen to 7 after emergency crews battled the Thursday blaze throughout the afternoon. The cause of the fire is still unknown for not being disclosed by Russian state agencies at this point. I understand this might be an old article, but they're saying it had to do with like faulty wiring in the building. But now more questions are being raised as another mysterious large blaze has erupted, this time at Russia's largest chemical plant, a mere hours from the fire in Tver. The latter, which had engulfed a facility belonging to the secretive Central Research and Development Institute of Aerospace Defense Troops, UK media is reporting on the latest mystery fire, which marks the second in the day. Large plumes of smoke were seen enveloping the chemical plant late this afternoon. Cause of the fire remains unknown. Almost 150 plant workers were reportedly evacuated. The facility in Kinishma, east of Moscow, produces more industrial solvents than any other in Russia. It is less than 1,000 kilometers from the border with Ukraine. Naturally, observers are starting to ask in connection to Russia's war with neighboring Ukraine, coincidence or sabotage. There's also anti-Putin race car driver in tweeting the above video about the plant. We're beginning to see a pattern develop. Yeah, kind of like our food processing centers here. 2 planes in a row. Are you serious? And let's see here. Russia has already been battling a string of forest fires. We don't even hear about that. So very, very interesting. It definitely looks like some type of sabotage going on over there. And that looks like that might be it for news articles today. That is all I have. So, hope everyone is doing well. Oh my God. This stuff happening. I think next week is going to be a possible turning point with a lot of things that are going on right now. We think things are going crappy now. Wait until the EU decides and votes on what to do with the Russian trade embargo, the sanctions where we are no longer buying your products. If JP Morgan is right and oil does spike, they're saying $185 a barrel. Maybe it won't be that high. Maybe it'll be higher. There will be a price spike, though. And considering that Biden is more concerned about shipping our oil over to the EU from the strategic reserves, I'm not going to hold my breath on seeing any type of relief at the pump, because even though he's doing this bullshit, the White House official statement is just going to be, well, it's due to the war with Putin. Meanwhile, Jen Psaki is going to cry about some don't talk about sex bill in Florida, which is really what it comes down to. Teachers are not allowed to have private conversations with students to talk about sex, sexual orientation. Not allowed to say, don't tell your parents, which is something that creepy pedophiles usually tell kids after events happen that shouldn't be taking place. But yeah, next week is going to be very insightful as to what is going to happen in the near future. I'm going to keep an eye out open for a lot more of these food processing fires. Like, what the hell is going on? Even Peak Prosperity is picking up on it and did a video talking about all of these fires that are happening. And I think more people are going to start talking about it. It should be very eye-opening as to what is happening. How is this happening? Who's responsible for it? I think if you... at this point, it's not even follow the money. It's more like follow the cult. You look at the World Economic Forum, you look at Agenda 21, a lot of these UN programs that basically push for a decline in the world's population. You start to come to understand as to what could possibly be happening, because it's easy to follow the money when greed is involved. When it's the ideology of a freaking cult that is in power, it's not going to make any sense to anyone outside of said cult. Okay, we look at these people, we think that they're crazy. They go about doing their wacky things, and then you end up with fires in food processing centers. It's just they'd rather have nuclear war than turn on a pipeline for oil. That should be like a huge freaking red flag when it comes to what these people are thinking when they're making their decisions. It's like war with Putin, good. Nuclear war, even better. No, we can't. We no more drilling. No, we're not going to do that. Shut these down. We're going electric. Well, most plants in America are fueled by coal. Electricity comes out of the wall. I mean, the outlet's right there. Okay, you plug stuff in, it works. that's that's the thinking these people have. We're going to build a bunch of recharging centers. How are you going to power them? It's should be a simple question, but no, we're just going to put the charging centers there. What are they hooking up to? How are you powering them? Electricity is not a power source. You create electricity. Yeah. Anyways, I've got a turkey to process, some chickens to feed, and a bunch of stuff to do around here. So, hope everyone is doing well. Take care. Keep on typing.